I spent most of my from 14 to 25 in jail. Yeah, I do know that. I spent like a ton of time. At 16, I was charged as an adult. What did you do? I just say, it was a heinous crime. Admittedly, it was horrible. We robbed a couple of guys for some weed. For months, Jelly Roll's wife hid behind extensions and makeup while millions followed her every move. Then came June 2021. In just 23 seconds, she pulled back the curtain on everything. The video got 42 million views and 8 million likes in 3 days. Fashion Nova immediately offered her $21,000. But what really shocked people wasn't the money. It was what she looked like underneath it all. Even Jelly Roll was surprised. The woman behind the glam was nothing like what fans expected. That one moment changed her entire career. Jelly Roll was born very early in the morning on December 4, 1984. His real name was Jason Bradley DeFries. He came into the world at General Hospital in Nashville, just a short drive from the neighborhood of Antioch where he would grow up. His dad, Horace Buddy Defford, sold meat during the day and placed illegal bets at night. Some weeks he made as little as $320. His mom suffered from bipolar disorder and was addicted to opioids. Jason saw paramedics revive her more than once before he turned 8. He later said those flashing blue lights were some of his first memories. His mother started calling him Jelly Roll when he started kindergarten because he weighed 94 pounds, twice as much as most of the other kids. By the time he was in 3rd grade, the area around him was already dangerous. Antioch's crime rate was high, and he saw 2 drive-by shootings before he was even a teenager. At age 9, his parents got divorced. His mom had sold his dad's wedding ring for $40 to buy pills. That was the final blow. They signed the papers on March 1, 1994. Jason was bounced between homes and began getting in trouble often. In 6th grade alone, he was written up 17 times for fights. On October 12, 1997, just before his 13th birthday, he punched a classmate and broke his nose. He was suspended for 10 days and sent to juvenile detention for the first time. He spent 11 nights there, and during that time, he memorized every word of Notorious B.I.G.'s song, Juicy, from a cassette someone had smuggled in. After getting out, he started shifting his focus. He wasn't just fighting anymore, he started selling marijuana at age 14. Usually outside the Sonic on Nolanville Pike, each night he made about $60. With that money, he bought a 4-track recorder for $19.99 in July 1999 from a local music store. By spring 2000, he had started selling pills, most of them came from his mother's prescriptions. One prom weekend, he made $450 just selling those. That money helped him create his first mixtape. He burned 200 copies on his dad's old computer and passed them out from his backpack behind Glencliff High School. But things got out of control. On August 16, 2000, when he was just 15, he and 2 friends used a .38 revolver to rob another teenager in a grocery store parking lot. They stole some weed and $44 in cash. No one was shot, but because a gun was used, the charge became aggravated robbery. 6 weeks after he turned 16, he was tried as an adult. He could have gotten 20 years, but took a plea deal. He ended up serving 403 days in juvenile detention and got 7 years of probation. While locked up, he wrote nonstop, filling 8 notebooks with lyrics that would later become songs. He also earned his GED on May 3, 2001. He went back to school, but only lasted 4 months. On December 18, 2001, he got caught with 28 Vicodin pills in his locker. The school expelled him permanently. After that, he joined up with an older cousin and started selling larger amounts of weed. They drove down to Atlanta, picked it up, and brought it back to Nashville. At one point, they were moving about 3 pounds a week and making $2,400 after costs. Between February and October 2002, police arrested Jason 3 more times. One time, a police dog found 87 pills hidden in a car speaker. Every arrest violated his probation, and his freedom kept slipping further away. In March 2002, now 17 years old, he joined 2 others and broke into a house in Nashville. They stole $350 in a wallet. Even though he didn't have a weapon, the law still treated it as aggravated robbery. He was again tried as an adult. Facing another possible 20 years, he took a plea. He spent 18 months behind bars. That prison cell was only 6 feet wide and 8 feet long, and the lights only stayed on for 4 hours a day. During that time, he passed the GED again and wrote around 50 songs that would later show up in his 2005 mixtape called The Plain Sh. When he got out in May 2004, he tried to stay clean, but just 2 months later, he failed a surprise drug test. His system showed cocaine levels 4 times the legal limit. So on July 27, 2004, he was sent back to prison for 2 more years. While locked up, he missed the birth of his daughter, Bailey, on February 10, 2005. A guard passed a Polaroid of her under his cell door. He later called that moment his wake-up call. He was released in March 2006, but his life quickly spiraled again. From 2006 to 2010, he was booked 43 times, almost once every month. In 2007, police found a gun under his car seat. In June 2008, he was indicted for a home invasion that could have sent him away for life, but he took an Alford plea for burglary, which gave him 180 days in jail and 10 years of probation. In 2009, he got into a bar fight and was arrested again. By the end of 2010, his mugshots filled 92 pages in the county database. Then came one of the scariest moments. On May 3, 2010, during a drug deal in Antioch, undercover cops tried to arrest him. Instead of stopping, he took off in his 1998 Monte Carlo. He led them on a 6-mile chase, going over 95 miles per hour down Murfreesboro Pike. He lost control and hit a light pole. The car flipped twice. He broke 2 ribs and shattered his collarbone. He went into hiding for 11 weeks, recovering at a friend's apartment while doctors put a titanium plate in his body. In January 2012, he missed a meeting with his probation officer, and that was enough to land him back behind bars again. This time, he was sent to Morgan County Correctional Complex. He could have been there for 4 years. In late 2013, after a fight, he spent 20 days in solitary. In that lonely cell, he wrote his mixtape, Therapeutic Music 5, on legal pads and recorded rough tracks on an illegal MP3 recorder. Around the same time, he learned that Bailey might be sent into foster care because her mother had relapsed. From behind bars, he filed for custody and promised to change for good. He said he would give up drugs and focus on raising his daughter. On July 14, 2014, he walked out of prison weighing 290 pounds. But his mind was different now. Within 2 years, he had music climbing the charts. In 2003, Jelly Roll was just 18 years old and locked up in juvenile detention in Nashville for aggravated robbery. He was stuck inside, but music kept calling to him. He found a broken CD player, took it apart, and turned it into a homemade microphone. The guards saw what he was doing, but instead of punishing him, they made a deal. He could keep it if he stayed quiet after lights out. So over 3 cold weekends, he recorded 7 rough songs onto blank discs. He called the little project Gambling on a White Boy. Other inmates loved it so much they started trading ramen noodles and phone cards just to get a copy. By the time he got out, he'd moved around 500 CDs and made $1,200 in commissary credit. That's when something clicked inside him. If his music could pay for soap behind bars, maybe it could pay for diapers in the real world. That mix of banjo sounds and heavy bass became the start of something no one saw coming. When he got out in 2009, he had nowhere to go. So he crashed on Lil White's couch, one of the few people who believed in him. One night he freestyled for 10 minutes on YouTube, and DJ Paul from 3 6 Mafia saw it. Paul brought him together with White and BPZ to form a group called Desno. They recorded in Memphis with just $7,500 and dropped an album called Year Round on April 19, 2011. One of their songs, Come Here White Girl, blew up on MySpace with 250,000 plays in the first month. XXL even called it one of the best white rapper collaborations ever. They only sold about 8,000 CDs. But the tours changed everything. 9 shows across 5 states gave Jelly his first real income, $600 a night, and enough to get off the couch. Paul also pushed him to sing, not just rap, telling him that was his secret weapon. Jelly took the advice, and it started to shape the style that fans would later fall in love with. Selling t-shirts out of the tour van made him $18,000, and he never forgot how that hustle taught him the value of being independent. Back in 2010, Jelly was locked up again, this time for violating parole. That's when he saw 2 bunkmates overdosed on oxycodone. It was horrifying, and he wrote a song about it called Pop Another Pill. He filmed the video with Lil White outside a trap house in South Nashville and uploaded it to YouTube on March 21, 2011. It looked rough, but people felt the pain in it. By summer 2012, it had over 1 million views, which was rare back then for someone with no label and no money. A label reached out after that, and by 2015, the song had passed 6 million views. The Tennessee Department of Health even mentioned it in a report about how music might be glamorizing drug use. Jelly later said he wrote that hook on a metal bunk using a pencil shorter than his pinky. That raw honesty was what made people listen. In 2015, he wanted to prove he didn't need a label to succeed, so he spent $40,200, money he got by pawning things, and pressed 5,000 copies of a mixtape called Therapeutic Music 5. He and Struggle Jennings sold the CDs outside clubs and in parking lots of Warped Tour shows. They even handed out USB sticks with the songs. Within 6 months, they sold everything and made around $50,000. 5 times what it cost to make. One local music store said it even outsold major label albums for a short time. That mixtape also helped Jelly build a mailing list of 12,000 fans, which later helped him sell out Bridgestone Arena in 2022. One track on the tape, Russian Roulette, talked about suicidal thoughts and had steel guitars in it. It was sad but powerful, and it showed the world that his music wasn't just noise, it was therapy. Then came March 18, 2016. Jelly was performing at a club in Memphis when someone in the crowd, tied to an old rivalry from his neighborhood, fired 3 shots at the stage. Nobody got hurt, but one bullet hit a speaker. Jelly was shaken. He moved his family into a hidden Airbnb in Franklin, Tennessee for safety. And then he turned all that fear into an album. In just 23 days, he recorded Addiction Kills and released it on November 4, 2016. The video for the title song cost only $600 to make, but later passed 30 million views. Without a label behind him, the album still sold 24,000 copies in the first year. After that, Jelly started writing songs with an acoustic guitar. He said he wanted to create music that could calm a room, not stir it up. Those gunshots literally changed his sound. By 2017, he released a raw ballad called Save Me, and something wild happened. Even without a label, the song hit over 1 million downloads. Nashville music executives were stunned. Broken Bow Records offered him a deal, but right after signing, some people at the label got cold feet. They didn't think radio stations would play songs by a tattooed ex-con. One executive even suggested paying him $250,000 just to go away. Jelly didn't back down. He pointed to his streaming numbers, 30 million monthly plays on Spotify, and threatened to go back to being independent. For 87 days, everything was frozen. Then the parent company stepped in and let him release a new EP that finally got played on country radio. That moment showed everyone Jelly wasn't going to let anyone rewrite his story. On October 10, 2020, he dropped Self-Medicated, and it became his highest charting album yet, reaching number 19 on Billboard's top current albums. The song Promise was about his battle with painkillers, and CMT nominated it for Digital First Performance of the Year. It was a big win for someone who hadn't even been on the radio yet. But behind the scenes, he was still in a courtroom fight over a 2007 robbery charge that kept him from touring overseas. In December 2020, a judge refused to clear his record, even as Spotify showed most of his listeners were from outside the US. So while he was topping charts, he was also wearing ankle monitors. That weird contrast celebrity on one side, court hearings on the other made him the most unlikely star in country music. In June 2022, he teamed up with Brantley Gilbert for Son of the Dirty South, and after 15 weeks, it hit number 1 on the Billboard Country Air chart. But trouble followed. In August 2023, a young fan joined him on stage in Milwaukee, and the video went viral. Suddenly, old news stories came back about his 40 arrests and time in prison. Some radio stations even stopped playing the song for a few days. On September 2, 2023, Jelly went live on Instagram and gave a heartfelt apology. He admitted he once sold poison and said he'd spend the rest of his life trying to make it right. That speech actually helped. Airplay numbers jumped back up the next week. It showed that even when the past tries to drag him down, being honest helps him rise again. Then came one of the biggest nights of his life, April 2, 2023, at the CMT Awards in Austin. He won 3 major awards on his first try. Only 3 other artists in history had done that. And just a few weeks later, on April 25th, he finally performed at the Grand Ole Opry. While on stage, he shocked the crowd by saying that back in 2006, he used to sell pills right outside that same building. He used to make $1,200 a night dealing oxy while people lined up for country music shows. That brutal honesty went viral. A clip from the night hit nearly 10 million views in just 2 days, and one of his songs shot to number 1 on iTunes the very next morning. Critics were angry, fans were proud, but Jelly didn't care. That moment made it clear he wasn't just performing, he was confessing, healing, and turning pain into art. In 2024, he went on the Whitsett Chapel Tour, 47 shows that made over $20 million by August 23rd. It was his biggest moment yet. On July 17, 2024, at Madison Square Garden, he stood in front of nearly 20,000 people and told them a story he had never told on stage. He said that 6 years ago, on the same date in 2018, he had put a gun in his mouth, ready to end it all. But then his daughter Bailey called him. That phone call saved his life. He played Save Me right after, dedicating it to everyone who ever answered the phone instead of the trigger. The next day, the song's streams shot up by 37%. By the end of the tour, he had a platinum plaque and a reputation as one of the most honest voices in country music. People didn't just come to hear him sing, they came to feel something real. Back in 2018, Jelly Roll made a huge mistake without even realizing how big it was. He had just released a mixtape called Asterisk Whiskey, Wheat and Waffle House, asterisk using the famous yellow Waffle House logo on 10,000 CDs. But Waffle House didn't like that. Their lawyers came after him fast. They shut down his YouTube channel for a week, demanded money, and threatened serious fines that could have cost him everything. Jelly Roll didn't have much. His label had saved up cash for gas and tour expenses, but instead they had to hand over $10,000 just to make the problem go away. That was half their budget. He even had to sell his favorite 1996 Chevy Caprice to keep things moving. It felt like the dream might be over before it even started. Years later, he laughed about it, saying he now checks every logo, even ones on coffee cups. But fans still whisper about that band cover, passing it around like a secret badge from the time Jelly nearly lost it all. Things got even more dangerous in 2021. It started with a lyric. Yelawolf had dropped a line in one of his songs that felt like a shot at Jelly Roll. Jelly didn't stay quiet. He fired back fast, bringing up old drama from 2009 involving drug deals and bad blood in Nashville. That was when things went too far. Fans started threatening him. Some posted his address. Someone even shared a photo of his young daughter's school with crosshairs over it. In just 3 days, he counted 42 serious threats. The police told him to get security. So, he spent nearly $19,000 on bodyguards and added bulletproof glass to his house. He kept touring, but it didn't feel the same. The friendly big guy image was gone. At Bonnaroo, in 2022, he and Yelawolf finally talked it out backstage. They made peace. But since then, Jelly Roll never travels alone. He still has an ex-Secret Service agent watching.